In this video, I'm going to share with you the number one most important metric that you need to pay attention to in order to become a long-term profitable sports bettor. If you're trying to make money betting on sports, this is the single most important metric I can share with you. So lock it in with me for a few minutes. I am going to add a ton of value to your knowledge base. Let's get into it. Oh, but wait, before we get into the details, if you like this type of content, guys, please hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe and leave a comment. Tell me what you think about what I'm about to share with you. Also, if you're interested in signing up with OddsJam, use my promo code Billy20. No matter what plan that you use, it's going to save you 20% off every month for as long as you use the plans, right? Don't pay full price. Use my code. Helps me out a lot, and it helps you save a couple bucks as well. Now, let's get into the details of this very important metric. We talk about this a lot. You need to be able to beat CLV in order to become a profitable sports bettor. What's CLV? It's the closing line value. It is the number one metric you need to understand. So it's more important than if the odds that you get on a bet, whatever price you are, it's the most important metric. This is the one way here at OddsJam and their free bet tracker, you can figure out, did I beat the CLV or did I not beat the CLV? So we're over here on the sportsbook screen. And to give you an idea of what I mean by CLV, you know, right here, if you wanted to bet the money line for the winner for this Cubs or Cardinals game, you know, we have a lot of sportsbooks over here giving us this price, but FanDuel, if you wanted to bet the Cubs money line, is giving you the best odds at plus 102, right? And if you wanted to bet the Cardinals, you can get it at minus 105 over at Fanatics. This is a really big deal because at the time that you place the bet, the odds are always going to change. We can't predict the future, guys. But beating the closing line value is beating Vegas, meaning right here, this game's about to start, and I don't know, about 40 minutes, right? So if we bet the Cardinals at minus 105, and then at first pitch, we find out that the line moved from minus 105 to minus 110. We got value for our money. We beat the closing line value. We got a better price than what it was at first pitch. And now there's a lot of factors sometimes that can take place. You know, if we place this wager hours in advance or a day in advance, you know, things can change. But you want to always have the edge and beat Vegas, right? When you're finding out and trying to figure out who's a long-term profitable sports bettor, you want to be beating the closing line value over 55% of the time. The better you are at beating the closing line value, the more profitable you're going to be, right? When you're getting a better price than what Vegas prices it at the start of the match or the game, you're getting a better price than Vegas. Vegas makes a lot of money off sports bettors. The lights don't stay on for just no particular reason, guys. That's how, when you're beating Vegas, that's how you're going to become a long-term profitable sports bettor because you have an edge. One really key feature, we're going to head over to the bet tracker at OddsJam. Very few places I've seen have this little feature built into the bet tracker. So over at the bet tracker, this is the best part about it, is the odds that I made the bet at and then what the closing line value is currently, right? So, you know, when you're placing these wagers at the time you place it, you know, you might be using the positive EV tool. Maybe you're not, but, you know, you don't know. You think at the time, all right, well, I placed this has positive EV, but, you know, we have no way to track this long term to figure out, are we doing a good job? Are we beating Vegas? And so that's the best part about this free bet tracker at OddsJam, is that it tells you if it's in green, that means we got a better price than the closing line value. If it's in red, we didn't. Now, guys, I've had plenty of bets that were in green that lost and plenty of bets that were in red that won. But the overall consensus is that you want to be beating the closing line value. That is the number one way to know if you are a long-term profitable sports bettor. So that's why this is so important, because when you're constantly getting a better price than everybody else, that little edge time and time again is really what makes the difference and what really has the profits continue to grow. And that's the biggest point about closing line value, is it's a measure for us to see whether we were successful in placing the bets at the time compared to what actually happened at first pitch or a tip. So that's why it's so important, guys. It's literally the only thing we have to kind of use to measure how successful we are as a sports bettor, right? There's no gut feeling when we're doing positive expected value betting. It's data driven. That's all we care about. So in this case, we want to be able to have a metric that tells us, man, we got a really good price on this. And so there's one tip that I want to leave you guys. This is going to be very helpful for you to help maybe give you some guidance as we move forward as a sports bettor, as we move throughout the calendar year. So up here on the dashboard, when you scroll down, you can kind of do a custom date range for all of your bets. And guys, this is why I stress the bet tracker at OddsJam is so important, because if you track every single one of your bets, it allows you to look back over time to see how well you did. So I have a lot of people sometimes reach out to me and be like, hey, Billy, I'm going really through it right now. I'm having a really tough start to the month, or I'm having a really tough go of it, this month, or maybe my first 2 weeks, it's been really tough. So one thing, this is why closing line value is so important. See, I have everything right now filtered to my February 1 to February 28th. And you can see I was beating the closing line value at 64%. But let's just say I trim this. So I go back to February and I go from February 1st to February 12th. And I'm still beating at 64% of the time. Okay. Now let me take a look at maybe my May. Let's go May 1st to May 7th. And I was beating it 76% of the time. The reason this is so important, guys, is because if you're going through a 1 week stretch, go to your dashboard. Go and take a look at the date range. It's going to have all the bets pulled in for you. See, this is a great barometer here. I had a terrible 1 week of May. Lost $2,500, but I beat the closing line value 76% of the time. What does this mean? That means I was just unlucky. That's really what it means. Now, if my closing line value was down at like 40%, then that means I was doing a poor job getting a good price. Okay. So when you're dealing with variance, check your closing line value for the days or the weeks that you really are going through a tough stretch. Because if you're still beating the closing line value above 55, above 60, above 65% of the time, then it's okay. You are just unlucky and are having some bad beats. And we all go through that as a gambler. But if you're only beating closing line value 40% of the time and you're going through it and you're like, man, I've lost $500 in a week and I'm only beating the CLV 40% of the time, that's a very big indicator right there that you're actually need to beat the closing line value. That's why you're losing money. But if you're losing money, but you're beating the CLV over 65% of the time, you're just going through a rough stretch. And so that's why it's so important, because if you're beating the CLV over 65% of the time, you're getting a better price than what Vegas is 65% of the time. And guys, you're never going to beat the CLV 100% of the time. It's just not. Okay. I would argue if you could beat it 75% of the time, that's incredible, right? I don't know too many guys that are beating it over 80% of the time, just because things happen. There have been so many games, especially in the NBA, where maybe I remember I bet last year on a Clippers game, and then like an hour before tip-off, we found out that Kawhi Leonard got ruled out. And so you're going to see massive swings in the NBA, because in the NBA, there's only 5 guys on the floor, and one guy like a LeBron James or a Giannis Antetokounmpo can really impact the game, whether they're in or out. So if LeBron gets yanked 30 minutes before tip because maybe he has a calf strain, you're going to see the closing line value, though, go against you in a big way. If you bet Lakers money line at minus 110, it's going to shoot all the way maybe to plus 150 now because of LeBron. Different sports, it doesn't impact it as much, but the NBA is the one where the closing line value based off of a player's availability can really determine it. So if you're still beating the closing line value a vast majority of the time, but you're losing money, don't panic. Keep staying the course. You're doing everything fine. You're just having some bad beats. If you're beating Vegas an overwhelmingly large percentage of the time, you're doing something right. Stay the course. So guys, that's the video. Closing line value is the number one most important metric for you to determine whether you're a long-term profitable sports bettor. Even if you don't want to sign up for any of the plans at OddsJam, at least use their bet tracker, which is free. That way you'll be able to figure out are you doing a good job over the course of the long run? You can really see how you start plugging in your bets on this bet tracker month over month over month. It gives you a really good gauge as to historical data of how well you're doing. If you have any questions, guys, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. I'm more than happy to help you out. I'll hop on a Zoom call with you. I'll talk you through whatever questions you may have about the tools and the products. My name is Billy C. I can't thank you enough for stopping by, and we'll catch you in the next video.